Good morning, everyone. I'm Sherilyn Thomas. Glad to have you with us. I'm so excited today to introduce you to a wonderful person, a mentor of mine, and her name is Webb. She's the founder of Ideal LifeVision, and I'm so excited to introduce you to her today. So, Ann, would you like to just introduce yourself a little bit further?
Yes, and first of all, thanks for having me. I always love to do calls, and especially with friends like you, and just chat about Ideal LifeVision and how it changes the world. So yes, I'm Ann Webb. I live in Kamas, Utah. I've only lived there for a year up here in the mountains. I'm married. I have 5 children, 5 grandchildren. Like Sherilyn said, I'm the founder of Ideal LifeVision as well as the humanitarian arm Global LifeVision.
Wow, fantastic. So most of us here are doTERRA wellness advocates. So I'm kind of curious, how did you get introduced to doTERRA and Ideal LifeVision, and how did that kind of start?
Yeah. So really, honestly, clear back in the very, very beginning, I was actually at an event with Natalie Goddard, and she had been in for a total of 30 days. And she was telling me that she had 150 people already in 30 days in her downline. And honestly, I thought she was lying. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, essential oils. Now, this is kind of embarrassing because this was at the very start. And I really said to her, what's so essential about them? Because I didn't even know what essential oils were. I thought she was like using it as like, oh, they're so essential for everyone, you know? And anyway, so I knew her from kind of the get-go. My husband, back in that day, long ago, he did produce the conventions for Young Living. Now, I know I'm not that, so I was familiar a little bit with them. He told me a little bit about a break-off, and I just had lots of friends who started doing doTERRA, and I was a life coach. And literally, doTERRA became my exclusive niche in that, you know, I narrowed it from entrepreneurs to network marketers who I was going to coach. And I even used to say, I could probably narrow this clear down to just doTERRA. And so I've probably trained, well, I know I've trained over 30,000 doTERRA people, probably more than that. That's just that I can keep track of. Another interesting thing is my husband does not do Young Living anymore. He does doTERRA. So he produces all the conventions, all the leaderships, all of those things as back support. He's a producer of conventions. So, you know, we have a lot of different ways that we're connected. I'm not a builder, but I definitely get an auto ship and love the products.
Yeah, fantastic. So the way I met you was actually at one of Natalie Goddard's Share Success trainings, and you gave a little presentation. Tiffany Peterson did, a few others, and I put your paper just kind of in my folder, and off I went after convention, and there it sat for like a whole year. But I had always in the back of my mind remembered you and remembered I better get involved with that at some point.
Yeah.
So, so I've been with doTERRA for 9 years, and so eventually I came on board doing Ideal LifeVision coaching and had you as my mentor through that.
Yeah.
I just fully love the integration of the two and how it helps really become the type of person that you need to become so that you can do the business and so that other things can happen for other people. So I love that. And I'm so happy to know more about you and your the Webb team and the background of creating things for doTERRA wellness advocates.
It's kind of funny because I used to tell my husband all the time in the early years, oh, you need to look at doTERRA. And he was just like, oh, come on. They're so little. No way. And now, I mean, when he got that contract to do it, like he was over the moon. He's like, you were right. This is legit. This is the most awesome company ever. So
yeah, fantastic. Sometimes wives know better long before husbands, and you know, they come on board. Awesome. So what can you tell us? What would be kind of a win-win-win for a doTERRA person? What would that look like?
Yeah, well, okay. So Ideal LifeVision, just kind of in a nutshell, and maybe you guys already know what it is, but I'll just do like a 15-second thing here. So it's really getting clear on what you want, okay? And so you write it in detail in all the major life areas. Then the additional power to, we already know that there's power in writing, okay? Writing our goals, we're not supposed to just leave them in our head. We write it down, but the additional power of Ideal LifeVision is then you actually record it and listen to it every day. Record it even with a specific kind of music so it gets it into the subconscious. And so so a win-win-win would be that you would create your own Ideal LifeVision, getting clarity for 2018, not only on your doTERRA business, but also in all the different life areas, because really to be successful and to feel peaceful and to make a difference in the world, it's not just about the doTERRA piece. It's about all the pieces integrated. It's very holistic. So the win for you is that 2018 will be your best year as you get clarity and focus on really what do you want? What do you want to achieve, accomplish in all areas? Now, the second win is that when you purchase an Ideal LifeVision program, the majority of that money actually does go to Global LifeVision, which is the humanitarian arm, which empowers women. Okay, and so there are a lot of things happening, particularly in Africa, with women that also want to create their ideal life using Ideal LifeVision. So there's a win as you become a part and decide to write your Ideal LifeVision. You're also helping women, empower women in Africa. And then the third win would be my own win, which is these are my two passions. And so if I can, facilitate in helping you, whoever's watching this, achieve your dreams and goals, in helping women in Africa become empowered, well, that's a win for me.
Wow, that's so fantastic. I really felt the power behind the fact that it was a win for your two passions. And we have several passions, everybody has different things that they're passionate about. Clearly the passion of doTERRA. Tell me more about the doTERRA Women Empowerment Centers in Kenya and some of the details of what you've done more recently.
Okay, yeah. So I would say have kind of moved from, being an entrepreneur, making money and doing all of that. And I'm going to just be pretty transparent here. About 2.5 years ago, I had a thought. And I have to say that the most powerful sentence in my own life vision is that I act on every impression that I receive. And this one scared the heck out of me because it was, and donate all of your money to your nonprofit that you make in your business. Now that, I never would have come up with that on my own, because why would I do that? Okay. And so anyway, I'm like, really? Ooh, I don't know about that. But I will tell you that I decided to take that leap of faith and to kind of transition. Not that I was really transitioning, but I was also giving my money to a humanitarian, my humanitarian program. And when I did that, that actually was within 30 days. That's when my husband got the doTERRA contract, which changed our life in terms of finances. No longer did I actually need to make money and work really hard and all of that. And so with that said, a couple of years ago, I think it's only been 1.5 years, I had this idea, again, another impression, to create women's empowerment centers in Africa. And when my husband was producing the first convention, he was hooked up with Healing Hands, and they actually said, hey, if you want to, work with some of Anne's clients in Ideal LifeVision, they have the ability to get matched by Healing Hands. And so I actually went to some of my clients and friends. I'm not even going to call them clients. They really were friends. And one in particular, the first one was actually Kelly Anderson. And she and I decided to raise money for 3 women's empowerment centers. And the beauty of that was that we really, the two of us, we worked hard getting different team members, different wellness advocates to donate to that, and then Healing Hands matched. And so that was a huge success for me and her and a lot of doTERRA people. And these women's empowerment centers, really what they do is, first, the number one thing is they need to create their life vision. They need to know what they want. And as part of that, almost all of them want to create a business. Now, they don't have the opportunity really in Africa to create a doTERRA business. They're more doing things like selling fruits and vegetables, learning to sew, those kind of things. And so the Women's Empowerment Center, besides training Ideal LifeVision, also teaches them vocational skills, ways to make a living. But we also, every time we go there, we bring lots of doTERRA oils. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, I took one of my friends who's has a big team, and we did aroma touch on about 30 women, which was phenomenal and super. I actually have a picture of her, my friend, like tears running down her face when I took a picture of it, and she said, "That was the moment I've been waiting for." And so that's part of it. We do, and then we try to just help them in all kinds of other ways. Days for Girls, kits, mentoring, different things like that. And so that was the first one. Natalie Goddard went on to help me do a couple more. And currently we just got, Cherie Burton just got a match from approved for a match for Healing Hands for an expedition she and I are taking in February. So these Women's Empowerment Center, again, I'm sure all of you guys have a humanitarian heart and you get it. If we can, we're not giving handouts necessarily, but just a hand up to help them achieve a lot of their goals.
Wow, that is so fantastic. I love the fact that it was that woman's moment when she saw that picture, and how much of an impression that will have and carry for her, not only for herself, but her children and generations to come. So, and I also love the fact that it's empowering people in such a way that they can use Ideal LifeVision and their goal setting tools to have focus and clarity and all that for their entire rest of their lives and their children and their generations to come. So it lasts for longer periods of time than just your, little window of expedition. So I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for sharing the depth of what was involved there. And I'm glad to know that it started with Kelly Anderson. She's such a great person. So has such a huge, enormous heart for giving and love.
Yeah. And she even admitted to me, she goes, that was a huge stretch for me, because it really was for both of us. We had to have a ton of faith to be able to come up with 20 grand and fundraise it, because she and I couldn't each just go, okay, here we go. Here's a check for 10 grand. We had to actually raise it. So
powerful stuff. That's great. So many of the top leaders in doTERRA, you've mentioned a few of them, have used Ideal LifeVision kind of as a process and had really great results. So thinking about those, whatever level of leaders, whether they're just beginning or all the way to, presidential and beyond, how have various people utilized Ideal LifeVision to help them in building their businesses and as a doTERRA wellness advocate?
Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting, and I actually am thinking back to the beginning, but I will tell you that this works for someone that's just beginning, as well as, a double presidential diamond who I've worked with. And so what we're doing and why Ideal LifeVision works hand in hand with doTERRA is because you're getting, number one, first, super clear on your why. Okay, why? And I'm sure you've been trained that so much in lots of doTERRA trainings and also, personal development trainings. But getting clear on your why. Why is it that you want to have a doTERRA business? How's it going to make you feel? How's it going to help further your own personal goals, etc.? So Ideal LifeVision is getting super clear, and it starts with the why. So your Ideal LifeVision, again, is identifying your why, your motivation for even doing it. And then what's happening is most people are looking upward to their upline. Because uplines usually have some kind of, here's what I did, here's how we're going to do it this year, here's our success program, whatever. And I happen to know that there's, I'm going to just use one example. Okay, so let's just use Natalie Goddard, Share doTERRA. Okay, back in the day when she created that, I think doTERRA has that owns that now. But when she created that, that would go down to her downline. Now, what the wellness advocates would do is now take that, which had been trained to them once or twice, and now customize it to what their personal goals are, how they're going to tweak and use it individually. Now write it out in detail with their emotion and motivation of why they're going to use Share doTERRA. Okay, let's just use that one. And then listen to it every day. Because it's one thing to go to a training and hear something and get 100% overwhelmed with it and go, yeah, I really should do that. Okay, and then maybe hear it one more time. It's a whole different deal when you actually internalize it, listen to it daily, and tell yourself, here's what I do on a consistent basis. Okay, that's the difference. And so that's just kind of an example. So whether it is, and literally this is how it worked for many of them. They're just like, okay, it's one thing for me to listen to it and do it, but what if my whole team had this in their ear every single day and we're doing, because you don't build your business by yourself. You need a team to do it. And so that's really how it happened, is they were going, here's what I did, customize it, put it in your life vision, listen to it every day, take your unique personal action on it. And that's how the businesses grew.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I love that they, just were able to share that with their downlines and be able to essentially duplicate that with everyone. And then now everyone has access to that through doTERRA themselves. So yes. Yeah. So what do you do with lots of people kind of get stuck at certain places along the way, and they seem like they get, can't push forward out of that either rank or a certain level or whatever. So what can they do? What can we suggest that they do for their Ideal LifeVision, kind of tweak that and get them moving forward?
Right. And so I guess my answer is still almost what I just said with a couple of variations. I am going to say one interesting little thing here, though. I've been asked, countless times to train teams, okay, and someone might say, okay, I've got 100 people coming into the room, that's my projection. They asked me to come and train Ideal LifeVision. And it's really interesting because I always say this to them. On an average, okay, let's just so-and-so, 3 to 5 people are going to quit today. Okay. And then they look at me like with horror, like, well, let's cancel this training because I don't want that to happen. And in fact, I even went to New Zealand once and trained a team. And I told them, the guy before I went, I said, 5 people are probably going to quit today. And there was a room of about 150. And he's like, oh my heck, why did I bring you down here? And I said, here's the deal. They're going to get clear, and they just got clear that they didn't want to build a business. Okay. And so they were never going to do it. And they were just torturing themselves anyway. They just got clear. They're going to get clear on that. They just want to use the product, blah, blah, blah. I said, however, the rest of them, the 95% are going to become, they're going to get on fire now because they already knew they loved it. Now they love it even more. And now they're going to start working. And then they're like, okay, good. And so I just kind of throw that in because for those people that aren't progressing, the first number one thing is this a true desire? Okay. Because I have quite a few clients that actually left doTERRA. I'm not going to say quite a few, a handful. And they started becoming a life coach, or they started doing something else because when they got clear, they realized I'm going to do what I want and not what I think society wants me to do or what I should be doing. Okay. The shoulds and all of that. And so the first thing is to get clear. Is this what you really want? Because if you don't, your life vision, you're going to sabotage subconsciously all day long. So let's just identify if this is the real true desire. And I'm saying this for anything. It might be, oh, I put in my life vision that I want to run a marathon. Well, let's really look at that and see if that's a real desire or if you're just doing it because all the neighbors are doing it. Okay. And so that's the number one thing. But once you get clear, okay, on yes, I really do. This is my passion and I do want to build it as a business. Then again, we're going to go to getting clear on what can I do? How can I take my uplines, what they're telling me to do, modify it or customize it to who I am and what my capabilities are, okay? Let's not put in there, let's just say maybe my friend Cherie is your upline or whatever, and she's a really good friend of mine, and you think, oh, I just need to do it exactly like Cherie, and this is what she says to do, and blah, 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 and you're just, in your heart, or subconsciously, you're not going, I don't know if I can do this. Okay, so you're gonna get real, and you're going to write in your life vision what you really can do, what's reasonable, what's realistic, what your passions are, what your level is, and you're going to write directly to that. And now it's going to feel good because this is you. You just customized it and you're like, okay, I'm not willing to do it 5 hours a day, but I am willing to do it 3 hours a day, 3 times a week, and this is what I want to do. And by doing that consistently, hearing yourself with passion talk about what you're doing and why you're doing it, that's the game changer. That's how, and the reason I use Cherie is because she actually has a testimonial on my website talking about how she was stuck at Diamond for 7 or 8 months, couldn't move, and it was me and her working on her, what we call the Blue Diamond LifeVision, that got her unstuck. And it was that exact same thing that I just said.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually why I asked that, is because that's on your website, and it's so, it's such a typical and perfect example of that and how we can move forward with that. I love that you say, you know, you don't cushion it or make it soft or whatever. You say, no, if this is going to happen, then people are going to quit because their focus and their clarity get clear on what they really want. Yeah. And so, and that's a good thing, because then they get those who do want to build the business actually on fire and building. Right. So there's so many things in there, great nuggets of wisdom and practical stuff without all the fluff.
Yeah, I'm kind of known for being a little blunt there, but oh well, that's how I am.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Then it's clear with us. Yeah. So a lot of people use vision boards and, you know, kind of post them up and whatever. So how do we utilize kind of a vision board with or separate from an ideal life vision?
Yeah, absolutely. You can use them together. So, and I would recommend anyone that does a vision board, I'm always like, I hope you got a life vision to back that up. And what I mean by that is, some people just go to a vision board class, okay, and there's all these magazines and they just cut out beautiful looking couples that maybe, you know, identify with a great marriage, hot bodies in bikinis, whatever, cars. And but the reality is all of those, none of those actually, they're just, if they're just pictures without a meaning, like a really specific crystal clear meaning, your brain actually throws them out. It might be like your subconscious could be going, who's that couple? I don't even know who they are. Who's that? What's that body? Like I don't even know who that is. Okay. And so we're taught to do all these different things. But however, they do work if it triggers your life vision. Okay. So let's say you see this body. Okay. And then you can kind of hear in your brain all the legitimate details that you put about, okay, I work out. This is my, you know, this is my measurements or whatever. And the picture all of a sudden represents something. Okay. So if you, let's say you weren't going to do a life vision and you just decided to do a vision board, just make sure that that picture actually represents your unique vision and not just a photo that you cut out. Hopefully that makes sense. So I've had a vision board only a couple of times. I'm going to be honest. Like, I like them, but my life vision works really, really well for me. So I don't feel like I need it. But when I did have these two, how I used it is I would listen to my life vision in the morning, and then I had my vision board in my office. And so I would be in there multiple times and I would look at it, and each picture represented something. And it was like I could scan my vision board and just look at it for 1 minute, and it would trigger everything that I had already listened to that morning. It was just kind of like a reminder. And so that's kind of how I use it, because again, a picture says 1,000 words, but does it say the right 1,000 words? That's what we need to be clear on.
Wow, that's so fantastic. I like that there's the power of a vision board, and then there's the added fire, I guess you would say, to adding that ideal life vision. So sometimes things, even in my ideal life vision or even in a vision board, kind of, you know, disconnect your brains, but I'm not doing that, but I'm not this, and so we get distracted and get kind of off track. And so how would you suggest, to put things into your ideal life vision, so not so that they don't trigger things, but so that they get past those distractions of the brain? Does that make sense?
I don't know. Let me, there's a couple of different thoughts came through my mind. And so it's kind of, the first part I heard you say is like, you know, you hear yourself saying these things in your life vision, maybe that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing. Okay. And I do have people, you know, that question that. And for me, I mean, I've done it this next year. In 2018, it'll be 30 years. Okay, so I will have done this for 30 years. And so I have that experience of knowing that when I say I'm going to do something and I'm not doing it, the first year I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't working. I'm not doing it. Like I would have all this head chatter. Now I kind of know better that I'm like, probably every month or so, I do just kind of go through it and evaluate and go, hey, look, nothing's happening here. Should it, and I let my intuition guide, is it something that is still important to me or isn't it? Because here's the thing, like I'm going to just kind of use a story on this. I still don't take it out because one time I put that I was going to do a triathlon, okay? And I was like, I don't know, I'm going to put it in. And for 6 months, nothing happened. I listened to that and I was like, okay, this isn't, okay, yeah, I want to. I don't know if I want to. And there was a ton of head chatter, but I didn't re-record. I didn't take it out. And then one day, my sister-in-law called me and she's like, hey, have you ever thought about doing a triathlon? And I'm like, yeah, it's in my life vision. And she said, I'm taking a class. And it was like I had to listen to it for 6 months. And then the moment of truth came, and it was going to be a yes or a no, because she's asking me if I'm going to do one. And I said, yes, sign me up. Let's get in the class. And for the next 3 years, that was my passion. I did, 10 Olympic distance triathlons. But for the first 6 months, nothing. I remember even going, I don't even know what the 3 sports in a triathlon are. Okay, like that's ridiculous. And so again, I don't take everything out because it's not happening in that very moment, if that makes sense. Now, sometimes my gut says, this is a no, okay? And I'll just kind of go, nothing's shaking on this, nothing's happening, nothing's moving. What about this? And my intuition will say, it's not going to happen. Okay, that might be, I put in Toastmasters once, put in that I was going to graduate with a bachelor's in something, and I ended up taking both of those out because what happened is after I did listen to it for a while, it was a thud. Okay, every time I was listening, I was like, how fast can I fast forward this? I hate this part. Like it would start triggering, bringing up some emotions, and I was like, yeah, this isn't it. Let's get this out. Okay, and so again, there's sometimes how you can know if your ideal life vision is correct is listen to it for a while and pay attention to the emotions. Again, for mine with the triathlon, it was neutral, but eventually it became high energy. With the other ones, within 2 weeks, I knew because of how it made me feel when I listened to it, it wasn't going to happen. Okay, so you can gauge it that way just by paying attention. If you're rolling your eyes, if you're like, how fast can I fast forward this? Oh, I hate this part. Get it out.
That's so awesome. I love your description of the thud. It's like, that's when you know it's out. Yeah. I do recognize that people are human and they're trying to get clarity and they're working through this. And once it's put it on paper and recorded, sometimes they think that that's like it. And so that we can't like go back to it and re-record and that kind of thing. So generally you suggest to redo it every 6 months or that kind of thing. And I have done some where I've done it only for 1 month and just wanted that focus for that period of time. And so I think that we need to learn that it's more of a fluid thing, that we don't have to be so rigid and stuck with it, but follow those emotions. So I really appreciate that, and how you can make this work, not make it, but create this thing that really does work and gets you on fire, even if it takes 6 months to kind of buy into it, but it's still something you want.
Right.
Yeah, love that. All right, so we need to kind of wrap up, but I have two more questions.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how a lot of people want to just kind of like you do, be a humanitarian and serve in our doTERRA business. So sometimes people are, have children and they can't do that kind of humanitarian efforts, but what kind of things could people think of to do and put in their life visions that would be more of that service element?
Oh, awesome. So, couple of different things I can say, and probably just give you a couple of examples. So there's one of my Ideal LifeVision coaches is also a doTERRA advocate. She also has lots of little children, okay? She read a book about a 16-year-old in Uganda that went and made a huge difference. I think Kelly Anderson just in her Facebook group mentioned that. I think it's Kisses from Katie. That could be it, which is really funny because that was her name. But she called me a year ago, and she's not even a year ago, and she's like, look, I love what you do. You're such a humanitarian. doTERRA is all about humanitarian and giving back and helping people, but I got a little family, like young family, lots of kids, but I have this idea. I read this book and I want to do something called Adopt a Village. And so she kind of went on how her team and her neighborhood were all going to donate $10 to $40 a month for 1 year. And every month we were going to do about an $800 project. We actually picked Uganda because the book she had read was based in Uganda, and I have Ideal LifeVision coaches that are Ugandan, and so it was the most beautiful win-win because Katie got to involve her friends. We had a Facebook group, so the money came in through Global LifeVision, all tax deductible. Again, neighbors and wellness advocates, Facebook group, and I got to train on the other side of the world Ugandans and let them become humanitarians as well and train them specifically how to do that. I had the fortune of being able to go last month to inspect 9 months of Adopt a Village, and it was amazing. Okay, now that's what one person, and literally when she called me, she's like, I have this crazy dream, man. I don't even know if this can happen. And she told me, and I'm like, I'm your gal, because I have people in Uganda and they'll pretty much do anything I tell them to. so it was so beautiful. Like there's an example of somebody with an idea, and I just because of connections, I was able to do that. And so that's in her life vision. And so there's all kinds of ways. If there's something globally and particularly Africa, reach out to me because I can facilitate and let you do humanitarian work in a way, whether it's an orphanage. I turned over an orphanage to an 18-year-old a couple of months ago and just said, look, she came, she helped me do the work, and I'm like, and now it's yours to take care of. Okay. And so there's so many opportunities with doTERRA and Healing Hands to do these things, but sometimes people want to get a little bit more hands-on rather than just, do kind of an auto ship or donate or just money. They want to do more hands-on. And so I do have a working relationship with Healing Hands, with a lot of doTERRA people and with a lot of Africans that I have vetted and trust. And so I think it can start anything from, I'm going to make a donation, maybe whether it's to Healing Hands or Days for Girls or even Global LifeVision, which I run, places where 100% of the money goes, and watch what that happens, or it can be totally hands-on. And that's how I started. Global LifeVision started with a paragraph in my Life Vision. Then it became a page, and now it's like 3 pages, and I just finished my 2018 vision, and it's big, and I need help. And I'm actually looking for 12 people in 2018 that are like, yeah, I want to do a $500 or $1,000 project, and helping them facilitate and become a humanitarian in their own right.
Wow, that's so powerful. I just am, and I'm just stunned at all that you're doing. I didn't even know about the Kisses for Katie's thing, and I follow you and I'm kind of aware of what you're doing. So I just am really grateful that you shared those elements that, you know, anyone can do them, even stay-at-home moms with small kids. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
One last thought that, you know, in closing, would you just share with us what you feel your vision, not your vision, but the vision of doTERRA is, and how you view that?
Ooh, I don't know. You know, I mean, when you say doTERRA's vision, I'm not sure of what doTERRA's vision is, to be honest. But I know that what I just even said is they have such a huge vision in doTERRA and Healing Hands, and we can all have our own unique vision that contributes to that somehow. Okay, and again, kind of like what I just said, whether it's, I just want it to be money, or no, I want hands-on, and I want to do it in my community, or I want to do it globally, those kind of things. I remember before I became a humanitarian and I was just doing Ideal LifeVision, lots of my clients were going, doTERRA is the best humanitarian company on the planet. And I wasn't a humanitarian. I was like, I don't get it. They sell oils. Like, I was so confused about that until I started going to their conventions and seeing how many lives they change with, like, they just went to Kenya. I was actually in Kenya when they were separately, and just kind of saw, hey, wow, you guys are down the street from me, basically. But saw how employing people and how the effect that has on a community, which is so exciting, which is why I want to, you know, even though I'm not, you know, a big business builder and I kind of do my own thing, and Scott and I support doTERRA in a different way other than being a big business builder, we want to have that connection because we believe so strongly in what they do as humanitarians. And so anyway, I'm not in on the conversations about their vision and different things. I just walk, you know, through convention and see different things and work with people and hear, you know, kind of word of mouth what they're doing, and then I know what I'm doing myself. And so I would just suggest that all of you get clear on your own passion about changing the world and how you can do that by partnering with doTERRA in whatever way that is for you.
Yeah, that's so great. It's really helpful, I think, to hear your perspective, though, because you have walked side by side for this whole long time, like 9+ years in a lot of ways. And you've seen doTERRA grow from, you know, essential oils and trying to understand how it all works, and that all the way to, you know, most doTERRA wellness advocates that build their businesses truly have that service heart, because it's the heart of who doTERRA is. It's the heart of Ideal LifeVision. And so it's obvious to me that those two things go hand in hand very well together, to be able to produce for ourselves our goals and the clarity that we want, but also to bring it forward to other people in the world. And so thank you so much for your time. Yeah, it's been so fun to chat with you and to get to know some of the things in much more detail than we have before. So thank you. You're the best. And I appreciate your time.
All right. Okay. Thanks. See ya.
Bye-bye.